Maybe you're surprised that I'm in the kitchen. So am I. But even if a friend says I don't quite get that, you make sure that you find something that makes them get what you really mean. Or she, or they. And this time it was about cocoa. In Germany, they would say cacao. Cacao. That's what they would say. When I was younger, I sometimes heard somebody say cocoa. And I accepted it, but never got why. And I still don't, but I know it's meant. And some people still like that, even without milk, and some don't. I understood both of those. Some drink it with water. Some, well, now you tell me, because the first cocoa was, brought to Europe, and people were amazed, not quite trusting that as humans normally are, and that may be a plus, but all of a sudden it was so fancy. Cocoa. So they met in like glass houses and would meet and drink a small cup of cocoa. It was really expensive, and to meet under those conditions, I would like to draw it right here. But, well, as you can see, the weapon of choice. That's made by a company in Cologne. And there were various ways to drink it. At the beginning, they simply took water, and by then they added some sugar to it and tried. What I found out was that it was not as bitter, because, see, there's no sugar in that plant. There is sugar there, but not extrally. Not extra sugar. Mix this with 1 teaspoon and sugar in the cup. Stir in the cocoa sugar mix with some milk. So they want to have it smooth. You had to stir it. Somebody else could stir it, but it had to be, they wanted that sugar to be evolved. No, they wanted to be not visible anymore. They didn't have that, excuse me, refined sugar. Back then, it looked brown. In this case, I couldn't come up with brown sugar, which is in the cabinet over there, I suppose. This here, and you can see how some people would say, oh, this is not sugar, this is glued together, and then nobody would even consider to eat that anymore. See, that is only because it's from coconuts, and it's simply, that's the water in it, in this box, in that product itself. Because with the other kinds of sugar, you hardly ever have some trouble so it would be gone or not visible at a certain time, practically right away. But this smells good. It makes the entire meeting way more exciting. And to have a cup of sugar. And while I don't know if it was before or later, that would be coffee, but this cocoa was such an I mean, so I don't need a word for it. It has a smell to it. It doesn't really taste like cocoa. I mean, like, no, this was made of cocoa. No, some blossoms of a coconut tree. Right. And they never really knew what kind of sweetener they had to take, and then a while later you could see it would totally behave like normal sugar. Can you see that? And then they had to stir it and stir it. I bet they had extra sticks to do that, because that was fancy. That was the word I didn't come up with right away. Make sure that you always close it tightly, and you'll have it for ages. I mean, sugar doesn't really give up. It doesn't quit. It is always sweet, and is always. It can have lumps. Is that what's this called? Something sticks together like that. Well, try it with hot water, and that will quickly give up, and the structure will change. But it was a ceremony, like tea drinking. And this, no, there were different recipes. This can be used to cover candied fruit in there, and you would just use a bit. It was worth a fortune. Cocoa powder. Wow, not a lot of people had it. Some cocoa in there. And by the way, you would like to meet your fancy friends as well. And a cup of cocoa. And you would speak about, would have to hold a could like that, and could talk, and then that was really some ceremony. But you can also mix that with other things, or decorate it. Well, some wouldn't even try to, because that's really bitter for our taste. But to them, it was fancy, and then wow, because do you ever read about cocoa and that reaction that it could cause? It would wake you up. I mean, and it was fancy, and you would be in a great mood anyway, and you would behave and chatter and Yes, especially in France. I know that I would have to say that because I don't have that many books about it. But of course, this is a German company, and there's a drink called, but that's with alcohol, and then it has to be handled with care. Pharisäer. That's from way up north in Germany. When a family gave, they baptized the child. And I think the man of the house gave the maid a little hint that they could add something to it to make it more spicy. And so they, you always would have to stir it so it's a homogeneous thing. I mean, no lumps, no nothing. I mean, that would be it. And as soon as that was gone, let me read it to you. Is especially fine and very löslich. Das resolve very easily. And very well, a bit of it would make it just as good as others. I mean, because it's very rich. I mean, not rich, but you will have a lot of that in your cup if you just use a bit of that. That's what they meant, I suppose. Especially if you would like to fix a drink, you could, and you could be convinced. Oh, that's convinced. At the same time, it's just as practical to use it for baking and whatever you would have to decorate, right? But that there was a minister in that round of people, and it's told that the maid made a little mistake, because the man who told her to make it a bit more rich, that wasn't talking about cocoa, he was talking about rum. And just don't be too well, why didn't they think they had to teach that stuff in school? It's such a great story, because the wrong cup was placed, the one with rum in it was placed in front of the minister, and he said, "You du Pharisäer!" Yeah, Pharisäer would be, well, look it up in the Bible. It's not a compliment. They were liars. Because everybody was getting so happy and talk active and, well, had a great time. Which is appropriate. I mean, the baby just got its name, and that, well, one man thought it was a bit, doesn't need to contain that much water, but you could put some of that stuff in it. Okay. She did so. So she did, I mean. Pharisäer. 4 cups. 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of instant coffee. Mix it, and with some milk, cold milk, and stir it until it's glatt, smooth, glatt, so you wouldn't see bubbles and everything, and everything had. This is a pretty, well, I didn't prepare something. I just simply have to go with the flow here. I mean, yeah, I would have to use your spoon and then, well, stir it and then make it a very fine and then drinkable thing. And then with if you use your fork like that, or because sometimes they would have to, because that didn't always come without any little things in there. I mean, they would have to be pressed and drinkable because you wouldn't like to drink your Oh mein Gott, das ist furchtbar. Ich sag hier Pharisäer. Oh, just a chat with God. He doesn't mind. Well, you'd have to add, and they came up with that. That's why Pharisee still is named like that. I already have to laugh. Do you know that some people who create perfumes, add me to the list, thank you. They offer their customers a jar of coffee beans, for example, which also is very fancy, but not as fancy as this. So, if you just inhale some coffee for some time, your nose will be ready to test another one of such stuff, which would be an overdose anyway. But I suppose. Half a liter of hot milk. Which would be, you know, those things, right? Half a liter. There's a cup on it. Oh, come on. You can read. Twice that there. The line. Good. So never had some minister coming by and I would have to get him drunk. I mean, that is not the story, but it happened. So 50-50. That story may be okay because I had no idea that I would be doing this right now. Well, then you could use that thing as a newspaper because they sure didn't waste any space. Oh, some kind of a bit reddish and dark, and just slightly. They got rid of the oil inside there because it's a coconut. I mean, practically a bean. Don't say it's the middle of the night and I never stop learning. When is It's some cold milk. I must have mixed it up somewhere. I'll send you one of those and you will prove your German. And then don't buy a large bottle of rum, please. 88 cl of rum, which would be you know what I mean? Something like this, which is quite a lot. I mean, ounces. Oh. You never get drunk if you never get to read everything at light speed. I mean, well, you'll have something to measure it. Find it. It's okay. It must be something like this. A bit less than that. Which still is something. No wonder they were all in a good mood. You have to mix it under the rest, carefully. The cocoa, put the cocoa in 4 cups. I mean, time. That means a quart. Oh, you can do counting, I mean. And everything should be covered under whipped cream. And I can imagine why. Because if something is under something else and has another temperature, you won't smell it right away. See, those people really could still think, which is a miracle. But, kind of. And sweeten it with vanilla sugar. And keep it covered. They mention it right there. I just cannot think of something this. Oh, the cat comes in. Excuse me. Oh, Maggie. Ich habe doch gerade eine Verabredung, ein Date am Telefon. So, komm mal rein. Danke. So, das ist hier. Sehr gut. Darf ich bitte? Ich habe hier gerade eine Verabredung. Mal dein Schwänzchen weg, bitte. Das ist nicht sehr nett, darüber zu fahren. Oh Mann. And then, all those recipes. I think I should write to that company and ask them for the tradition. But this is a Dutch tradition since 1840. Although I know that story about the drunken one who called everybody Pharisee, which was the ultimate, lying person. Kinda. So there we are. Looks like that. We're talking about chocolate. You wanted to see it, so be it as it may. See how powdery that is? Very, very precious. Bitter. That means less sugar. Very fine. Maybe I put that on my teeth when I go to see my dentist. She'll be saying, wow, that's a nice decoration. Do we already have Halloween? Well, but you can decorate stuff with it. And I bet you have a lot of fantasy and can do that yourself. But it was so elegant to meet each other and have a little tiny cup of cocoa. They didn't put rum in it, I suppose. Sugar was enough. And they had a great time because sugar was probably something that they brought over to Europe that caused a lot of trouble. You can Google the British heritage stuff and maybe you could find something. Look, like this is, if they write that on it, it contains at least 70% of cocoa. It's mild. At least they say so. And I believe them, because that's a good company. Not everybody's taste, maybe, but if somebody gives that to someone, it will be reserved for the rest of your lifetime, or you would eat it at once. It depends on your mood. I mean, hey, sometimes they even say that if you drink a cup of coffee before you go to bed, it helps you fall asleep. I mean, right away before you go to bed. And the other ones say if you wait too long to do so, you'll be wide awake. That's something that somebody else said, found out. This is pistachio. And mousse au chocolat. And if you see something like that, it also tells you not only the calories and so forth. It also tells you whichever comes first. It's the same with cosmetics. That is in the most has to be probably way up in the list. And sometimes if people go shopping, they are wondering why something is not to their liking and maybe not that good. They just didn't check it. They could have one salt. You always put some salt in something sweet. It's common. And everybody should do that. Kohlenhydrate. 33 grams. And sugar of that, 29. What may the rest be? I don't know. That's their secret. But maybe you would like to test that one day. So I'll get prepared. Maybe. What else did they write? That's so much premium quality things that I cannot read all that to you. But I would like to know. I wanted to show you some cocoa powder. Pepper powder. They have milk, even in powder form. I checked that. We still had it, but it's just in another glass. My mom gave me some of that. It's simple powder, and a lot of people like that stuff. And I mean milk. It's a kind of cream that's highly sugared, but everybody loves it. When it wouldn't ruin your luggage. It could brighten up somebody's mood. And it definitely should be, because that is loaded with sugar, and some things they simply need to put that stuff into if they want to survive something. Because some things are just too bitter. Some things can't be transported right. Some things need some sugar to bring the aroma out of there. It's a carrier for aroma, just like fat. Stuff like that. I'm getting creative here, huh? That means bye-bye. And if you want me to, I'll tell you what you want to know. If I possibly can. Excuse me now. I think I have to tidy up some things.